Hi, from GOTO Chicago. This is Small Talk Dave Thomas with Ruby Elixir Dave Thomas.
Hi.
And believe it or not, this is only the second chance we've actually been at the same conference together.
So the last time was it 2002, something like that?
Somewhere, old OOPSLA conference
Yeah,
way back.
yeah.
That's right.
So
Dave just finished a great talk on Elixir, and refreshingly, it didn't do Fibonacci or how to use stacks or some trivial thing. Did a nice little example and gave a great feeling of Elixir. So
thank you.
So it's quite something to transition over from Ruby.
Well, see, I've been doing OO programming since 1980 something, maybe even before that actually. And recently, the last 15 years have been primarily Ruby. And that's stale after a while. I mean, Ruby is nice, it keeps surprising me, it keeps giving me new things, but at the same time, it's the same language every day. And clearly the world is changing around us. So clearly the world is becoming functional, it's becoming concurrent. And I just couldn't find a language that I felt comfortable with basically teaching myself and possibly teaching other people the kind of basics that would get me out of that rut. I kept trying functional languages, and I kept ending up writing OO code in functional languages. So Elixir gives me that. It lets me break away. So what I'm trying to do is retrain my brain to think in this kind of world of microprocessors and functional and immutable data, and trying to learn how to do that. To try to rebuild the reflexes that are kind of like second nature now in the OO world.
Oh, the nice thing is, Erlang's such a fantastic base because you basically everything quickly becomes concurrent, and so you don't actually build up anything large.
Right.
What do you mean? There's another process running here.
And yeah, that actually is one of the attractions, because when you do a JVM-based functional language, there's always that escape route, and so it's very easy to fall back on old ways. Whereas here, you're basically, you're out there, and so you have the same kind of design patterns, to use a horribly overused word, that you'd have in Erlang, and I really enjoy that.
So I think that it's really interesting. So some of the things about Elixir for those from the Erlang community is it makes some extensions like macros, which are some people say hygienic macros as though that makes them clean. Other people who are purists go, macros don't have a sound semantics, so there's some issues there, but they give you a lot of flexibility in it.
Yeah, and I think some of the people that decry Elixir capabilities like macros are the people that have spent the last 20 years learning how to do without them, in a way. I mean, if you look at like an Erlang gen server, if you read the documentation how to do it, the first thing is, take this 100 lines of code and cut and paste it into your empty file, and now fill in the details. And people are kind of like proud that they've been through the wars there, that they've done all that stuff. And you don't have to do that when you've got macros. And particularly the way Elixir does macros, it gives you a lot of control. So it's not the Wild West. It's not like metaprogramming in, say, Ruby, where you're changing the core, which I don't particularly object to, but I know a lot of people do. But in Elixir, I have total scope control. So for example, if I want to, I can say, on this particular function call, I want to apply a change in the semantics for just these parameters, and then take it away again. So I have a lot of control over how my macros work, and therefore I don't really worry about the hygienicness or not of those macros.
What about the Erlang single assignment in Elixir? Change that.
That's a big thing. Okay, so Erlang single assignment basically says that you're not assigning to a variable. What you're doing is you're binding a variable to a value. A bit like you do when you're writing a mathematical expression. So if you say a equals 1, you're not really saying assign 1 to a. In algebra, what you're just saying is that a and 1 have the same value. And so Erlang takes that approach and enforces it. Elixir, but then if you look at Erlang code, you'll find that because you cannot mutate data structures, then if you want to add, say, 3 things to a dictionary, you're going to say, create a new dictionary, store that in dict. Then you're going to add something to it, so you have to store the result in dict 1, and then dict 2, then dict 3. So you have all these variables with numbers at the end of them to show some kind of generational thing. In Elixir, Jose just basically said, let's get rid of that. We're going to allow you to reassign a variable. So I can just say dict equals this, dict equals that, dict equals the other. Now, underneath the covers, it's still running on the Erlang virtual machine, and the Erlang virtual machine only supports single assignment. So he's doing all that automatic renaming for us. So it still has all of the same semantics that you get with Erlang, but without all the inconvenience of all these crazy intermediate variables that people have to create. People who object to it, I think, probably miss the point of variables, in that the variable is not the data. The variable is just a binding to that data. The data is still immutable, whether we're in Erlang or whether we're in Elixir. It's just we can change the binding to it. And that's no different to making a function call. So I don't see how people can object to it.
So one last question, since we have a limited time. When's the new release of the language coming out and the book?
Who knows? It's both. So this has been a trial by fire for me because I said, I really liked Elixir, and Jose said, you don't want to write a book about it now. This was a year ago, because I'm just revving it and revving it and revving it. So I said, no, I really want to show people this. So I have been rewriting the book basically at every point release as the syntax has changed. Mercifully, all the big changes are behind us. Right now we're doing some library tidying, some release management. So I'm expecting to see Elixir 1.0, please, sometime towards the end of the summer.
Oh, great.
Which probably means December. But sometime round about then. And the book will be out the same day, as far as I'm concerned, because I just want to get it all done.
Right. Well, it's great to have you here. Thanks a lot for your great talk. And
It's good
look
to see
forward
you.
to seeing it out, and it's good to see you again.
Okay.